Hello, namaste, my beautiful friends. I am Jill Loftus of Nuit Astrology. Welcome to your planetary energy forecast for the week of October the 6th, 2025. I would love for you to enter this week with a little bit of optimism, but I do think it's another week where we must put the caution flag up. Now, why is that? Well, we're entering the week with a lot of emotionality, with a full moon in the sign of Aries. We also have Mercury, newly in the sign of Scorpio. Now, Mercury in Scorpio is very insightful, very honest, almost brutally so. Mercury in Scorpio seeks truth, wants to know all the details, is not afraid to hear the reality of something. Mercury in Scorpio can also be quite conniving and manipulative. And so we're observing this movement, especially because it will immediately step into a square, a difficult angle with Pluto in Aquarius. Now, you'll recall about 2 weeks ago, we had Mars move into Scorpio and come into this difficult angle with Pluto. And of course, Mars, the warrior planet, was more about action. This is more about the mind, the mentality, and our communication style, but it also brings in this idea of transportation, neighborhood, and community. So there could be themes that echo back to about 2 weeks ago. Keep in mind also that now that Mercury is also in Scorpio and we have Mars in Scorpio, that there's going to be these deep mental patterns that come up, things we think about, things we hear, things we're talking about, communicating about, and we're going to want to take action on them because that Mars energy is going to want to take that Mercury and do something with it, okay? And so we have to slow down. We have to take the little pause, the little breath before the thought that comes into our mind becomes something we speak or something we do. This is a wonderful time to pull back out the yamas and niyamas, yoga students, and really look at those moral codes, to really consider, speaking the truth, whether it's useful, if it's helpful, being honest, being careful with being honest, and also being aware that thought forms can cling to us. We can encounter them. Not every thought that comes into your mind originates from your mind, okay? They're sticky. And so we have to be aware and really watch our energy hygiene, our emotional hygiene. This is a wonderful week to sink into the mystery of Scorpio and become more like the hermit or the sorcerer who spends time alone, deep in meditation and prayer, really connecting to the cosmos instead of scuffling about on the internet, causing problems or attracting difficult people in that way, right? It's a time to definitely be cautious. This full moon energy, full moons always amplify emotions. Ask any school teacher, ask any emergency room nurse. Full moons absolutely affect humans at a very deep cosmic level. And this one is at 14 degrees of the sign of Aries. Now, it's quite late in the day, 11:48 a.m. Eastern. Quite early in the day, I guess, 11:48 a.m. Eastern. So we're going to feel this very intensely as we get up that morning. Please adjust it for your time zone. And then as we're moving through our day, we've got that Mercury movement into Scorpio and immediately picking up that difficulty with Pluto. So as a general rule, I would say if you don't know exactly what area of life Aries is for you or the middle of Aries is, I would let go of immaturity, let go of anger. Let go of fear because that's the root of anger. Let go of rash impulsiveness, power struggles, adolescent behavior. Remove the things that keep you from being bold, though. Keep you from being optimistic like a child. Keep you from being creative and adventurous like a child. Remove those obstacles from your pathway. Now, this Mercury square to Pluto comes exact the very next day on the 7th. This is also, luckily, a day when Venus in the sign of Virgo sends a little sexy sextile beam of energy to Jupiter in Cancer. I'm really appreciating this contact between the benefics here. And Venus in Virgo, even though she can be a little bit harsh in her criticisms, she's also very skillful at understanding what needs to be done and how to do it. With a little Jupiter juice, I think this will be very helpful. So lean into that harmonization. We're also keeping an eye on, I mentioned it last week, Jupiter coming into the square with Chiron. And this is demanding maturity as well. This is asking us to step up, but it will amplify this sense of people being very protective about their family, protective about their people, so to speak, protective about their country or nationality. So that's something to keep an eye on. Now that precise Venus-Jupiter is on the 8th, so I think you'll feel it early and late. So vibe Venusian. Try to think of being generous, not, foolish, but generous. Vibe into that. And then also Venus in Virgo, she's got her health routines down. She's eating very well. She's nourishing herself. So I would suggest you take that advice and do that as well. Now then she comes into a little bit of a tricky aspect. On the 11th, she's strolling along, excited about getting out of the sign of Virgo and into Libra, and she encounters an opposition with Saturn. Saturn is moving backwards in the sign of Pisces, and of course this makes it feel like the limitations come from nowhere. We can't really figure out the rules, who's in charge, what did we do wrong, I don't know, we're already suffering. So I think this could potentially bring some financial issues this week. It could definitely bring some things up with supply chains regarding food. It could bring things up regarding the safety of food or the health of food or health matters, I think, or even collective health matters. There's a lot of, especially in the United States, a lot of arguments going, coming along regarding what the right thing to do is in certain circumstances. And I won't get into the full details of that, but health is a wealth. It really is. And so it's going to highlight where you may need to improve some of your daily routines as far as taking care of your own health and health matters. Saturn is always a little bit of a reality check here. And so take the messages that are delivered on the 11th and 12th very seriously. Now, significant moon voids this week, so be patient as I list them out. The first one's on the 7th, 2:24 p.m. until the 8th at 1:12 a.m. The 9th, 8:31 p.m. Eastern till the 10th at 1:12 a.m. Eastern. And then we've got the 11th, 10:56 p.m. Eastern until the 12th at 2:37 a.m. Eastern. Please do check my website. I post a blog every month that indicates the moon voids, and if you're not sure what they mean or how to use them properly, look for the video that's listed below in the description. I hope that you have a wonderful week. Please stay tuned. I've got a Celtic Cross on the Mercury square to Pluto, just to see, how we can best use that energy or manage that energy. And please do check out the Isis Lotus Tarot spread that I posted yesterday. Have a great week. Hello, my friends. Namaste. And let's take a look at a Celtic Cross here for the week of October the 6th. We're looking at this pending clash or square between the sign or Mercury in the sign of Scorpio. So it's going to move newly into Scorpio and come into a square with Pluto, which is retrograde, moving backwards, in Aquarius. So this is a Celtic Cross for the collective on the best way to manage this potentially damaging, destructive configuration of the mind and the masses, death, rebirth, and ways of communicating, power struggles, coercion, manipulation, exploitation. Now there's a little synergy here because Pluto loves Scorpio. Mercury, pretty intense in there. And remember, Mars is also in Scorpio, so our mind is going to become very deep in the desire to know the truth of things, and then Mars will want to take action on it. So I think that is going to lend more volatility later in the month, but let's take a look at this Celtic Cross for the collective on that square between the mind and the principle of death and rebirth. All right, so the first card in the spread in a Celtic Cross is the querent. It's the person asking the question, which is you or me, right? So we have the Page of Cups. So this is someone who has an idea, a thought, something that's maybe involves how we feel about something or emotions on some level. What is crossing us is the Queen of Cups. And so this is, there's the Page, the Knight, the Queen, and the King. So we have the Page as us, and the Queen is crossing us. So perhaps there's this maturity that we want to move towards. Maybe this is more about taking care of others, helping others, being empathetic, being kind, being gentle and thoughtful. In the past, 10 of Cups, we've been focused on creating a good environment, a good home life. This could be the work life, but finding a place of abundance and happiness. Future, 3 of Wands. So this indicates that we are on a path and we are making some progress. Crowning thoughts, 8 of Cups. We are walking away from something. We are letting go of something. There's something that has not been fulfilling, that has not been worthwhile, that is no longer part of our, pathway. Subconsciously, Wheel of Fortune. So there's a lot of karmic stuff going on here. As you can tell, some of it is your own karma, some of it is the collective karma, right? So there's a lot more to all this than meets the eye. It's important to remember that. Remember what you're resonant with. Advice. 2 of Wands. So you're going to be at a crossroads at some point here. And that's what it's basically what a square does. These two elements are at a 90-degree angle to each other, which means that they are arguing. This principle of intensity and truth and perspective is arguing with the principle of science and transformation and freedom. Okay, so there's a choice that we need to make, and it reminds us that not choosing is also a choice. Outside influence, the sun. So your basic personality, the fundamentals of who you are, this is influencing this situation and which pathway you should be taking. It's unique to you. What do you want to happen? Okay, I'm getting a bunch of cards here, at least 2, possibly 3. Okay, it's just 2. I've got the King of Wands. So what do you want to happen? You want to be able to take action. Also, 3 of Swords, you're feeling a little confused about it. You're not feeling totally confident. Outcome, Temperance. So when the mind is in conflict with this principle of transformation, it can be very confusing. There can be a certain amount of uncertainty. But fundamentally, I would say the most important part of this is the sun, which makes it so that you have to remember who you are and what your unique path is. Don't follow the crowd. Don't just do what other people are doing. You have to do you. You are the person who's going to take the last breath in this lifetime and decide whether you feel fulfilled or not. All right, so there's something you want to pursue. I know you feel conflicted about it, but the answer is to go about it in a moderate or temperate way. Now, the Reader's Fan again suggests that progress is being made. 3 of Pentacles. 9 of Swords, that your worrying is not helping the situation. The Moon, again, this was last week also in the Celtic Cross for the meeting of the South Node and Venus in Virgo. So again, there's a lot going on. We are unaware of a lot of things. We have to ask ourselves intuitively so that we can find the right thing. And again, this 10 of Swords, it's interesting. This was the crowning thoughts for last week's Celtic Cross. So there's something here that's lingering in the mind, this sense of failure or things not going so well. It's one of the things that as you get older, sometimes we can fall more into inertia and not make decisions, 2 of Wands, because we know all the things that can happen. When you're young, you can be, and forgive the saying, but young and dumb, right? You don't know the bad things that can happen. The older you get, you know all the bad things that can happen. So it can be harder to decisively move forward. But again, know who you are. Know what's important to you. Move forward with moderation and balance and be ready for the transformation that Pluto brings. All right, my friends, I hope you found that useful and helpful. I'll see you next week. Bye.